Hi guys, welcome. Today we're going to be installing some Prime Lights, OG Prime Lights, whatever you want to call them. They're the Prime Lights Stingray Gen 2. You can buy these from Obsessed Garage, you can buy them directly from Prime Lights. I'll put links to both below. If you are inside the Hex, you will save money buying them from OG. And the same exact lights, they drop ship them from Prime Light. So here's a box. This is a 4-foot, 4-bulb fixture. I purchased 2 of these and they're going to go in my room over there. These are the same lights that I installed in Kristi's garage in Tulare when I was there, I don't know, 3 months ago, I guess it was at this point. And I didn't really do a good job of highlighting it there because we only had one day. I was kind of in a hurry, so I thought I would do a better video of it. So here's what you get in the box. It's the entire enclosure, so you can see on the back there are holes for mounting. On the front there are these latches. And these latches are actually, they keep the lid shut. So this is a lid, and the bulbs go on the top of the lid, of course. And we can just flip those latches back and open this up. There we go. So the lid has like a little tab, and we can, there are 3 of them, and it just unhooks, right? So now I've got the lid and I've got the base. So we'll set the lid off to the side here for a second. And we're going to start off with the base. So inside the base, you'll see the wiring. These are for the lights. There are also 4 of these, which are the other end caps for the other side. And then there are also 4 bulbs in here, just like this. And there are instructions. So we can take the instructions and throw them in the trash, and then we can get started. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to install this housing wherever you want the lights to be. You'll notice on the back there are several screw holes. The metal is pretty thick, but it's thin enough that you can drive a screw through it. So if this doesn't exactly hit your 16 on center studs, normally if I have studs running this way, I'll mount the lights that same way so that I'm hitting it with 3 holes. If it doesn't match, then you can obviously pin a screw right through where you need to make it work. You'll notice that there are inserts here, for you to connect to put the wire through, right? So you can come from the back side if you've got it mounted flush, or you can come from an end cap. Now in this case where I install, I'm going to be coming from an end cap. This is going to go in that room over there, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to pop, we'll do the side cover off and remove that. And then we will go and get this mounted where we need it to be, and then I'll come back and I'll show you all of the wiring and hookup. So here you can see that I have one that I installed already off camera. And then I have, these are my old ones, they're Braun from Harbor Freight, and they're okay. I really don't love them. So we're gonna figure out where we want this to be. We'll get it mounted up here. Note these do not include any sort of mounting hardware, no screws, no other stuff. You will need mounting hardware and you will need wire. I've got a tape measure here. I've got my light housing, and I have a small impact gun with a couple screws sitting here on my ladder. So we'll set this housing up and out of the way. All right, so we have our housing mounted, nice and simple. I'm going to take my old lights down while I'm up here. We'll remove these. And like I said, these have served me well. They're not great. And I'm looking forward to the upgrade. Now, if you're planning on like painting your ceiling or anything like that, this is probably a good time to do that when you're going through all of this. Take your lights down, paint your ceiling, put everything back up. I'll do that at some point and I'll end up taking these down to do it. So here is the light engine, which is the metal plate. Now, you can see that there are 4 holes in both sides, and we have these things that come in the box, right? So you want to put them so that the contacts are pointing towards the inside, and they just snap into place. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. And then we can stick the tabs in and just kind of hang the light there. Okay, so we've got our 4 that are snapped in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're kind of going to bend the wires down a little bit so that they're flat, because otherwise you don't have room to shut this, right? And then on the other side, we have these tabs, which look like that. Same thing. We're just going to snap those in over here. Got all 4 snapped in both sides, right? Now we get to do wiring. So the wiring here is pretty easy. It's only 3 wires. We've got our neutral, white, we've got our black, hot, and we've got a ground. And these lights can work on anything 120, 240, 277. They'll work on a variety of voltages. But you'll see on the end here, they're actually push connectors that are, there's 2 black and 2 white. So all you do is you strip the wire and you push it into that connector and it makes a nice connection, right? So you can see that right there. In terms of wire, I have 14.2 as a feed, so I'm using 14.2. Normally you would want to use whatever wiring is feeding your first light to connect to lights, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever you end up having. Now I'm using 14.2 and I'm using, this is armored cable. You don't need to use armored cable. I'm using armored cable because I think it looks better in this metal jacket. It's more expensive. You could use just regular 14.2, the white stuff on a roll, or 12.2 if your lights happen to be wired into a 12 gauge segment. So all I'm going to do is peel this back, and you'll notice that I have a grommet on here. This guy. This goes into the knockout. It's a 1/2 inch. You could use something like this style as well. This style has the clamp, the screw clamp. Looks like that. So if you were using like regular wire, like just the white wire, you would use this. And you could put, 2 through here, no problem. So you need some sort of grommet to protect the wire. Point this up here and I'll show you. We'll stick this through the end. This is longer than I need, but I had extra, so just did it. And we'll snap that into place. If you're using the other style, you would have a nut, like a screw and a nut that you would put on there. And then inside the light, like I mentioned, there are 3 wires and there are 3 wires. So what we'll do here is we'll pull this back. We can strip these 2, the white and the black. And note that this wire that I'm connecting right now does not have power connected. Here's the other end of it. I still have to run that into the other light to feed this. So we're just going to strip off a small amount on the edge of the white and the black. Don't do this hot. So we'll push this into one of the whites. We'll push the other one into one of the blacks. It doesn't matter which one you push it into, they're both the same. And then basically if you were going to wire up another light, you have 2 more pins here and you would run, the wire out the other side. to go to your next light, right? So then the green is ground, and this is going to get connected to this ground. And you can do this in a variety of ways. I like to kind of strip a big section of both of them off because it's ground and twist them together. Wire nuts are typically how we do it in the US. In Europe, they often use Wagos. I have Wagos here as well. I also like those. I don't really have a strong opinion one way or another. I do like to twist this up and to just twist the wires together so that they're real nice and tight. Then I will take this and I will tuck everything up in here, and then we can close our lid, being careful that the wire is not stuck off the side, like it's not coming out the side, and close it. And then there's little latches here. So that's a latch. There's one over here. Note that they won't latch if you have a piece of wire stuck in it, like I did over there. So we can fix that. Unhook the latch here. Push that up. Get that connected. Now we're good to go. The next thing that we want to do is we can install the light bulbs. So these have a metal side, a clear side. Put them in, quarter turn. Note, if you're going to open up the lid again, you don't want to put this one that I'm putting in right now, the furthest away one, because you can't get at the latches with the bulb in. I guess you could with tools, but you can't with your hand. So, connect that. Like I said, if you're using the standard white wire, you don't really have to deal with trimming the casing off of this and stuff like that, right? That's not going to have it. But we'll get this trimmed up. So we've got our wire trimmed up, cut the length kind of where we need it to be. We're going to run this through the hole in the end and put our snap in there. We'll get that tied up, peel the plastic back. This is a much longer piece of wire than I need. This is just the end of the small roll. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect to our same wires that we have over here. You can see we've got our ground here. On this side I'm using a Wago instead of a wire nut. We'll take our ground wire. Again, we have power disconnected here. So we've got that. Get that nice and twisted up there. And then I can strip these two. White and black. And then, like I mentioned before, this has push connectors in it. So we've got a white next to the white. Push it in. A black next to the black. Push that in. And we are good to go. Nice and simple. So this will tie up like that. Again, be careful that you don't get it stuck in the edge. Flip the tab. There we go. Okay. We've got our stuff out of the way. So because we used armor cable, we're using these to tie it up. If you used a regular wire, then you would just use a staple. There are lights. And wow, it's pretty darn bright in here. So that's all we have for today. Nice and simple. All you need are some hand tools. I used a small impact gun. I've got a Torx, because that's the screw that I used. I used a Torx to install everything. I had a Phillips to remove my old lights because those were Phillips. I had a pair of dikes or diagonal cutting pliers. I'm using these Sonic ones. I had a pair of wire strippers. I'm using these Vice Grip branded ones. If you're using regular non-armored wire and you're going to be stapling everything in, then you would have a hammer as well to drive the staples. But otherwise, that's it. Nice and simple. I've got a nice armored cable going across the ceiling, through the two lights. Honestly, I did the first one in about 20 minutes. I did the second one in about 38 minutes on camera. So 2 lights, something like this, it's an hour task. I think I did all 3 of Kristi's in about an hour, hour and 15, and I had to go up in her attic to do it. So obviously, certain things may change that. You know, if you need to go up in an attic, you need to run wires, you need to do this or that. Like, there's a variety of things that could change it, but for something simple like a surface mount like this, it's so easy, so easy. These lights are about 140 bucks a piece, so they're not incredibly expensive, but they're not cheap either. I think their quality is excellent. I think the light output is excellent. As you can see, there's just tons of lights, works very well. They don't have, there's no like diffuser or anything like that. They're just kind of wide. So they're pretty good about bathing the entire area in light pretty well. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.